Disclaimer: this is not actually Nicolas Cage, just an impersonator. All words said are not reflective of any true person. This channel is a result of two super fans of Nicolas Cage getting together to celebrate the best actor in the world.
Hi everyone, it's Rose again with our Fantasy Nicolas Cage podcast. First of all, I want to apologize for the delay. It's probably been like 3 weeks, maybe even more.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Nick has been really busy with filming.
Yeah.
I've
excuse me. I've been working on a couple films lately that really occupy not only my time but my mind as well. So I apologize for the time I had to put this on the back burner.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's coming out. I've seen some previews and some are hilarious and some really serious and deep.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but if you guys want a good laugh, there's this movie I do with Russell Brand. I highly recommend it.
All right. Well, it's a Tuesday morning, lovely outside, and
yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's a little cooler today, so
I love this.
This time of year, it's just
SoCal,
wonderful.
It's such a blessing.
Yeah,
but
people always talk about how nice the weather is here, but there's a few months, too hot, especially over in Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're a little less than a week until Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you celebrate that holiday or if your kids like to dress up.
Well, naturally, as an adult, you go through the phase of celebrating it, without knowing when your parents are dressing you up as a pumpkin when you're 1 or 2. Then you've got, your toddler age where you want to be a prince or a princess. Then you go into, your preteens where you're like, I want to be Buzz Lightyear or whatever the kids like. And then, you're your teenagers. So it's like, I want to dress like a bunny, but this bunny's wearing a little tiny tutu, and then there's college students. It's, how little can I wear? Then you go into the adults where, they're dressing as witches or clowns, but like in a cute way for their kids. And, I'm at that latter stage there, and kal-el is at the second one. So,
what is it gonna be?
I don't know yet. I can't really. I know the costume. I see it. He's actually designing it himself. I gave him some tools to do so, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's a little foolish. I'll say.
That's so cool. He's designing it.
Yeah, you have to start the kids early on artistic things like that.
Are you dressing up?
Yeah, I do it for a living. I might as well do it for a holiday.
That's true.
Very true. I might just throw something silly on.
Okay, but you're not sure what?
No, not sure yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll see you on the 31st.
Yeah. Probably not in this neighborhood though.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of people that celebrate Halloween as something, let's take the kids trick-or-treating, let's dress up. But then there's some people that take this holiday seriously, and this is the time where people are talking about the dead, they're talking about ghosts, even Ouija boards and doing things like that. So what side of Halloween do you lie on?
Well, I'd like to say I'm on the omnipotent side of Halloween. I acknowledge everything that has to do with Halloween, and that includes everything. There's the Day of the Dead, and a lot of the United States they don't see that side of Halloween, and so I like to really spectate it is the wrong word, but it's also the right word and the perfect word, because if you think about specter is another name for ghost, and we're talking about seeing Halloween through, I feel like that's absolutely the dead-on perfect word for that spot of the sentence. Spectating. Speaking of specters, you have to look back and say thank you, because your ancestors are why you're here. So there's a lot of elements to Halloween.
Definitely. Do you believe in the supernatural?
Oh, of course.
Right.
I know of the supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a few reports of you going to sets, and I think we talked about this in a previous podcast.
Well, yeah, I do believe we did. And yeah, I know of the supernatural.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, of course. I have dozens of examples. it's one of those things that, people talk about, oh, is this person smart? Is this person athletic? But there's another thing. It's, how spiritual is this person? And, there's some people that you can tell them ghosts exist. You can tell them, your anecdotal evidence, and they just say, oh, no, that's not true. And, obviously that part of them is not as strong as someone like me, where, I've seen ghosts, I've dealt with ghosts, I've talked with ghosts. I've talked with people about ghosts. I've talked to ghosts about people. I've done it all, and it's really, so it's like, on what part of that spectrum are you? And again, spectrum is a great word there too, because we're talking about ghosts.
Right. Do you have an example you'd like to share with us?
Sure. Okay, so let's see, what's a really good example? Oh, here's one. Kal-el might even be able to remember it. So there was this one day, I'm going into, one of my rooms, and I see this toy in the ground. I'm like, oh my God. So I call Kal-el, Kal-el! He comes running upstairs, and he's like, yeah, Dad. And I was like, well, what is this? I'm like, what is this? And, he said, oh, that's my toy truck. And I go, okay, well, what's it doing in my Academy Award room? And, he's like, oh, I don't know why it's there. And then I was like, okay, the number one rule in my house, and I'm telling you this so that way you can understand, the proof and the basis and the strength behind that, okay? What is rule number one in the Nic house? And, of course, he told me, don't go in the Academy Award room. Only Academy Awards and Academy Award winners are allowed in the Academy Award room. I said, yeah, okay. So why is this here? And, he said, I wasn't playing in there. There's only one logical explanation for that,
One logical explanation?
Right.
Okay.
I told him, I said, okay, go call Father Matthew, and tell him to come over immediately. There's only, one logical explanation, that this toy is possessed and, by a spirit that wants to tamper or steal my Academy Award. And, from downstairs I hear him say, Dad, what number is Father Matthew? And I was like, it's 1, speed dial 1. And, he called him, and he came over, and there's not been one case of that in that room ever again. So, why don't you explain that in other terms?
Wow. Well.
Yeah, you're at a loss for words.
Remember, we're on
Warranted.
speed dial.
Yeah, people often have like 911, which is number 2 on our speed dial, and there's the fire department's number 3, and you have to think about which one is going to save your life before and after life. So Father Matthew's number 1, because that's the most important. Then there's the police, because they're going to deal with criminals and things like that, and then fire department for fire. It's structural.
Wow, interesting story.
Very.
I guess our viewers can decipher what's going on with that, right?
Yeah. Again, where they are on that spectrum, to see, how open their inner eye is. If they've dealt with ghosts, I'm sure they understand things have happened that, similarly to them. So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
We're gonna move on to our scenarios.
Okay.
Now, again, if you haven't heard our previous episodes, I say a scenario and end it with what would Nic do, and
Right.
Nic, of course, will answer as Nic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in the spirit of the Halloween holiday,
Very nice. I caught that.
here's our first one. It appears you see your deceased relative wandering through a cemetery. What do you do? What would Nic do?
I'd go up and I'd say, hey, what's going on? And it's good to see you. And depending on which relative it is, we all know. If it's, Grand Aunt Julie, just, you go up and say hello. And if it's Grand Aunt Abriel, you stay away. So, it depends on who it is, first and foremost. After that, I think it's pretty important to assess the situation, analyze them as a person, because they still feel like a person. So you're going to look at them, do they look happy? Do they look sad? Of course, approach it that way. Other than that, you just treat them as if they're alive, because that's how they want to be treated. They don't want to be discriminated. So.
Okay. Good answer.
Yeah.
Next question. You're going to a forbidden forest and you hear that it's haunted. secluded from all traces of human activity. What are your 4 survival items you bring?
I just don't go.
You don't go.
No. Why? Okay, if I know I'm going into a forest that's haunted, what 4 survival items am I going to bring? I'm going to bring 3 priests and a knife. I'm not going to go in there. Well,
I guess
next question. That's a stupid scenario. Next question.
Okay, well, that was it for our scenarios. So
Okay, well,
we're now going to move on to questions of the day by our listeners. And I selected Halloween questions, of course.
okay.
Or I tried. So our first one comes from Panda Twix 69.
Panda Twix?
Yeah, like the candy, I guess.
Oh, I guess Twix. It's appropriate for these.
Right. What was your favorite costume as a child?
Like when I was mentioning that, the evolution of costume in Halloween throughout someone's life, I was using myself as an example. When I was an infant, I was, a pumpkin, and I think I switched from pumpkin to a vampire right around 7. And then I think I was Tarzan a couple times.
You'd be a great Tarzan.
Don't you know it? Couple years I was a clown. That was more in my experimental ages, though. In the late 20s. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but most of the time I was just Nick. When people are dressing up like you, do you really have to dress up? So, how about you? What did you dress up as?
When I was a child?
Or whenever.
Oh gosh. I remember in college when I really didn't want to dress up, I would just be a cat.
Okay.
Just put on kitty ears and
I was a cat
clothes.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like Halloween so much is it's the day of the Baroque. You can be what you want to be, and no one makes fun of you.
Yeah.
The one day that weird kid at school, it's okay that he's dressing up.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad when you're the kid.
Okay. So.
Next question.
Okay, this one's from Denture201.
Old people.
What's the scariest thing you've gone through in your life?
Oh, man, the scariest thing I've ever gone through. It's tough to say. I've had many a scary dream. However, you wake up and you realize it's a dream. But, during the dream, it's the scariest time of your life. But then you find out it wasn't real. But it was still scary. Does that count? Because, it's still you being scared, and then the time you think it's real. So it's, it's a traumatic event that, just because it wasn't real doesn't mean it's not scary. There's a couple dreams I had where, the Mr. Potato Head was chasing me down, and another one where it was Capote. There was, a few dreams. There was one time where, believe it or not, very scary. I was a screwdriver and I was being used by Bob the Builder. No joke. It sounds funny.
Oh my goodness.
It was frightening.
Oh my god.
Because it's a cartoon. You're not supposed to be in cartoons.
Right.
Yeah, that was a weird night. I dedicate that one to too much beer and too much pizza.
And I guess too much bothering. You're watching Bob the Builder with your kid.
Yeah. No, I'll allow it.
Okay. Oh, this one here is from BobbyFlay_1.
BobbyFlay_1? Huh. Is that the same Bobby Flay one as last time?
Well, that one was just Bobby Flay, and we realized it wasn't the real Bobby
Wow,
Flay.
I don't know why there's so much overlap for us and Bobby Flay fanatics, but...
Okay. What Halloween dessert sounds better? A raspberry truffle coated with chocolate ganache. Or a white vanilla bean cake coated with caramel candy a la flambe. I guess this is really Bobby Flay.
It sounds like the real Bobby Flay. Hey, how are you doing, Bobby? I did contact you and tell you about this podcast, so it's nice that you're putting your own questions in, and very good and appropriate question. I'd have to go with the second dessert. That sounds a little bit more, as I was calling, Baroque, and a la flambe is just amazing in general. So,
wow.
Quite the spectacle.
So that's it for our questions of the day, and I guess that's it for our podcast. Would you like to add anything?
To all of you guys listening out there, more questions, just keep them coming, and the weirder the questions, the better. I've been interviewed many, many times in my life, from a very young age even, and I've been asked so many questions, and most of the time it's the same question. And I'm the kind of guy, I just want new questions. So, how are you doing? All those kinds of questions, just, keep those out. For some reason, you guys are, spamming us with those. Just ask, the most random question you can, because, that's what I'm here. I'm here for you guys to get to know me. So I think that's all I can say.
That's great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will definitely have another one coming up soon. And I hope you enjoyed it, and happy Halloween. Bye. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcast, our 5th podcast, actually. And I hope everyone is going to have a great Halloween. Remember, please keep the comments coming, question of the day comments, even scenarios. I can definitely input listener scenario questions. Don't forget to check us up on our YouTube page, Fantasy Nic Cage, and also our Twitter, which is
at Fantasy Nic.
Right. Oh, I thought you left.
No, I'm still here.
Oh my goodness. At Fantasy Nic. Thank you very much. And of course, any comments, advice, suggestions, things you liked, things you didn't like, of course, are greatly appreciated. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.